Hello and welcome to Viper Strategies, where we put roulette strategies to the ultimate test. This is not a simulator app. We are using a custom-built software to back test strategies against real casino spin data. That means real outcomes, real risk analysis, and real-world results. This is more than just content. It's a passion project. After years of getting beat up from the casinos, we decided it was time to fight and strike back. So on this channel, we fine-tune strategies, run deep performance analysis, and stress test across multiple sessions against thousands of spins to see if they really have true profit potential. Because around here, we always test before we invest. Hey guys, so we are back at it with another testing video. On my previous channel, I did run a 2-strategy stack test that actually panned out to work out pretty well. Actually, we used the Randall strategy, and we coupled that with the roulette jackpot. Now, I did it in a very basic way because I was manually doing it with the simulator app. Today, we're gonna keep that same concept, but I'm gonna try to stack 3 different strategies. I'm going to run them individually at first, just to get like a baseline on all of them and see how well they test out over 100 spins. And then after that, I'm going to go into where I'm going to do a overlap. So if that 3 stack strategy ends up playing out well and making money, I'm going to just let that bad boy run. I'm going to incorporate this the stress test, and then see where that breaking point is. What spin count will that fail at? So with that being said, let's go ahead and start our testing. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our configurations. We are going into Viper single dozen down here. You can see it. We are going to go ahead and activate this. Let's pull up our configs and see what we're doing. So we're going to do, we could go Fibonacci, we could go custom, Karsh, Padavon. I think Karsh is relatively safe. Let me go ahead and, actually let me scroll down here and see, let me set these configurations up first. So step back level, we're going to let it run through. We're going to keep that open at 20. Step back amount on wins, we'll keep that at 3. I'm going to keep it very basic. And let's see, Fibonacci, Padavon. I think Padavon's a little bit slower of a progression. Let's roll with Padavon. I'm gonna do Padavon instead. Okay. Let's go ahead and save that. And we are going to set the session up now. Let me close this screen and start the test. So this first test is going to get 100 spins. Again, we're going to see how it performs. We're going to log that information. It's not about single strategies today. What it's about is, okay, we're going to use that as a baseline for comparison. So we are going to use the same data set against all of these. We're going to log each of these strategies separately first, and then collect data on them and see if, hey, maybe stacking them together is going to yield better results. I don't know. We're going to find out, because there are going to be a lot of overlaps which potentially make huge jackpot numbers. I mean, that's a theory at least, right? And I have played around with this before and it has worked well. So let's see how it works today. And actually, let me go ahead and speed this up. I think we're only running, we're running 2 seconds every time it spits data. So I'm going to speed that up to 1 second, and let's see how this ends. We did dip down pretty low. Can it come back? Will it come back? We will find out, of course. That's why we test before we invest. We're at spin 50. We got another 100 spins to go. We are at spin 63. Still in the minus. Looks like this strategy's only peaked out at $6 in profit. So you got to remember too, like, that's why it's important to play around with the configurations, because some of the configurations, sometimes they help a lot, sometimes they don't help so much. I know the progressions have a big impact on the strategy as well, so that's something to play around with. That's why we added that feature of custom, so you can play around with that. So all you Inner Circle members, you guys could go ham with custom progressions. Anything that you build on top of these, it's easy to implement. Okay, so we stopped the test right there. We did end minus 13. We only peaked out at 6, so $6 in profit. Not very good, just running single dozens with this. Okay, but I am going to stop the video here, log the information, and then I'll be back with the next strategy to test. All right, so next test we're doing is going to be on the Viper single column. So let's go ahead and pick our category. We're going column bets. Let's find it in here. So we got Viper single column right here. Let's go ahead and activate that. Again, we're using the same data set. For test 2, this is also going to get a 100 spins, okay? So on this one, let's go ahead and keep this one at, what do we do? Padavon on the last one? Let's go ahead and keep, let's do Padavon on this one too. Configs, we could keep, okay, step back level. Let me see, level at, okay, so it says level at which step back on when activates. So we're going to go ahead and disable this, entering 0. That way we don't have any step backs, or like we have throttle fully open. Step back amount, I'm going to keep it the same as the other one. Max progressions, we're going to keep that open. Okay, let's go. All right, we save. Let me just double check. We did pick Padavon right. Yep, Padavon selected. Same data set, same 100 spins. So let's go ahead and start. So this is Viper single column. Again, 100 for this one as well. And then going over the last stats. So Viper single did not do very well. It ended with a minus $13 loss. End balance was $987. Session high, we only peaked out at $6 in profit. Session low was $948. And we had a win-loss of 30 wins, 70 losses. Okay, so I'm actually interested. Like, let's say this one doesn't pan out very well either. I'm really kind of interested if, okay, now we're going to start stacking them. Now we're going to create some overlapping numbers. That should help it in theory. But like I said, that's why we test these. So let's see how this one pans out. This one's actually making some solid money right now. We peaked out at a high of 20 bucks in profit. We are at spin 75 right now. So this one is doing better than the last one. And it makes me think putting them together would probably yield better results as well. So we are pushing. We are at the 90 spin mark. That's the survival test mark. Okay, so a few more spins. We'll pause this and we'll wrap up this little test. Okay, stop right here. So we did end on a win and we did end in session high. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video right here and I'll be back for the third one. Okay, so we are in test number 3. This one's going to be the roulette jackpot. We are going to change. Okay, I believe that's under hybrid. Let's scroll down here and okay, so roulette jackpot, we have it named because roulette jackpot's a long name. We have it actually under Viper High-Low DS Plus, Double Street Plus, because it was originally designed with just double streets, but we made some modification to add in corners. So let's go ahead and activate this. And let's pull up the configs and see what we got going on here. So double street is how I played it on the previous channel. Just posted that video a couple days ago. Actually, maybe yesterday. Double street, we have the option to go double street or play corners. Let's keep it similar to, let's just go ahead and roll with the double streets. Okay, now let's look at our progression type here. Again, we'll just use Padavon. And I like this one, starting side. Let's just keep that random. It's going to switch sides. Wait mode, okay, that's decent. I don't know if I want a wait mode. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and keep that wide open. Again, this is just for testing purposes. These are very fun to play around with. Configs, you could config however you want. Reset at session high. We could keep that there. What else do we got? Swap sides on wins. Whether to switch betting sides after a win. I think that's good. That way you don't stay stagnant. Okay, so everything else we're going to keep the same and save the parameters there. And let's go ahead and start this test. So this one's also going to get 100 spins by itself. So this is our third test, just going over what happened on the last one. Single column did perform better. We are using the same bankroll. So starting bankroll for always are $1,000. We're using a dollar unit. Profit on that last one, we ended on a high of $29 in profit. We had an end balance of course, 1,029. Session high was $29. Session low, it dipped down to 965. So what's that? $35. So I used $35 of the bankroll to gain 29 bucks. Again, that was 100 spins. The wins, we had a little bit more wins. The wins was 37 wins against 63 losses. So I'm getting anxious. I really want to stack these to see how those perform. So this one's doing pretty good. We did peak out at $38 in profit. Right now it's teetering up and down between the negative and positive. But it looks like we hit a new high of $61. That's good. We are at spin 80. And so far, so good. And we're using Padavon for this. Not super aggressive. It's a relatively conservative way to play as far as progressions go. So we are nearing the end. Let me go ahead and pause here. Okay, so we peaked out at 93 bucks. Beautiful. Let me go ahead and stop right here. And then I'm going to collect the data, and then we're going to go ahead and just resume. Okay, because again, we're going against that same data set. So or not resume, resume for stacking the three together and see how that pans out. So let me pause here, collect the data. Okay, guys, we are in our fourth test. This is going to be we're going to stack all three of these strategies. So you can see we have the high-low. This is the roulette jackpot version. We have that activated. So let's go ahead and activate the other one. So let's go to columns. We are going to activate Viper single column. So activate that one. Let's go ahead and hit, where is it? Dozens. Let's go to dozens, and we're going to go single dozen. Activate that one. So now we have all three. So if you look down here, if you click this button right here, activate, oh, let me change this to all. Category's got to be all, and then activate, and then you're going to see all three are grouped in right here. These are all your current activated strategies to run. Okay, so configurations, they're all the same. Okay, so let's see if this yields better results. My prediction is I think it will. It should. It's going to have some more coverage. It's going to have some more jackpot numbers. I am using the same bankroll. Maybe we should stretch that a little bit more because we are running three different strategies, but I'm going to keep it relatively conservative. Let's see, can we make better profits with $1,000 bankroll? So let's go ahead and start this test. Let me slow it down so you can see all the bet placements. I'm going to slow it down to 3 seconds and close this out, and we start. Okay. So pausing it real quick, you could see we have a single dozen that's running. We have the single column that's running, and down here we got the high-low running. Okay, so and they're all going on their own separate progressions. So let me go ahead and speed this up and unpause. So again, this is the fourth test. We are stacking all three. Is it going to make more money? We're about to find out. That's why we run these tests. And so far, we peaked out at 14. So recapping, the highest profit we made was with Viper high-low, and it peaked out at $93 in profit. And this one looks like it's teetering up and down. And let's see how this one pans out. All right, session highs at 25. Up to $33 in profit. And we are at spin 70. So we do have a lot more coverage with this one. They are playing all individually. Now we're up $75 in the new session high, 82. I'm going to pause this once we get to the 100 spin mark. I'm going to collect the data for this one, and I'm going to just let this bad boy run. So we're going to just roll this over into a stress test. So we're almost at that point. We just finished. We're at that point. So let me go ahead and stop real quick and then collect this information. I'm gonna resume this, but I'm just going to collect the data right now. Just 1 second. All right, we are back at it. This is going to be the final test. Now, I didn't stop and reset this. The reason why I didn't do that is because we're running on the same data set. So it'll just yield the same results. So just to save a little bit of time, I just paused it right here and then collected the data. So you can still see they're all activated, right? All strategies are activated. They are, so the software will collect the data separately, right? So we're looking at Viper single column down here. We got 34 wins against 66 losses. Viper single dozen got 35 wins against 65 losses. And then we got the high low at 46 wins. That's almost a split. 46 wins, 54 losses. So altogether, that balances out to 115 wins against 185 losses. And you can still see right here, we're up in profit. We did peak out. So my theory was correct, right? So we did peak and they did work better. There were some jackpot numbers that were hit, and we're at a high with all three of them working together. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to just roll this over into a stress test. I have a pretty big data set of 2,500 spins loaded up right now. So let's go ahead and unpause this, and we're going to keep this bad boy rolling. And see, I'm going to pull up the bet visualization so you guys can see the bet placements. And so we're resuming from 100. So we for sure know it hit that 100 spin mark. Remember, I'm not changing the bankroll. I didn't do a reset. So we're still rolling with that initial $1,000 bankroll. But I'm going to roll this over into a stress test and see where this potentially breaks. We want to find that spin count, like where, how. And the reason why we're doing this is also giving us confidence and giving us a better idea of the resiliency of playing this way, right? Maybe there's not just one awesome system that works every time. I brought it up in the previous video that you're just chasing a leprechaun that you're never going to catch. You know, I think that might be not the best way to approach things. I think the best way going forward may be stacking strategies. The great thing about it is there's so many strategies out there, so many good ones, and they complement each other. So like, for instance, I think obviously I know the single dozen and the single column complement each other because based off Randall's system, and I've used it personally with real money and won. Okay, so I know that complements because it creates that overlap where you have 4 jackpots. The way he plays it, he has it on dozen 2 and then column 2, just the 2 centers. And then so that creates an overlap of jackpots of 14, 17, 20, and 23. Now that we peppered in this one, it's creating more jackpot numbers, depending on, because this is switching sides on wins as well. But let's go ahead and look where we are at. So our session high, so we start with $1,000 bankroll. So we've peaked out plus $369 so far. And then just to go over some of the tests before. So these are all the same strategies with the same configurations, okay? I didn't change anything about them, but individually, you could see how they ran, right? So Viper single dozen, just reviewing, 30 wins out of 30 wins, 70 losses. It hit a session low of 948. And it actually ended in minus profit. It ended minus 13. Viper single column by itself only made 29 bucks. Again, these are very conservative progressions. Okay, that Padavon is very conservative. So I'm assuming we should get a handful of. I hope it's not going to be. Oh, we're going to find out. I mean, I hope it does good, but as far as time goes, it will take a while to get to that 2,500 spin mark if it survives that. And which I ran that 405. Many of you guys, I'm sure, seen already. That's that custom built slow progression, and that ran through 2,500 spins. And it's a custom. If you haven't seen that, the videos I'll have the video in the description. But I came up with a custom progression for a single corner. What's cool is the professor implemented configuration. So I believe it's now at 5 corners you can cover, and all those corners are going to be set running at different progressions, right? So once it's built where once you hit at any level in the progression, it's going to get you in a session profit, and then it's going to reset. Okay. We are okay. So it hasn't busted yet. It's still placing bets, but you can see some of those bets dropped off. Let me pause it real quick. Okay, so we are minus 755. We're at 377 spins. So what happens is with that $1,000 bankroll, we are down $245. Okay, so it doesn't have enough to place all the bets. So what it does is it defaults to what it can bet. Okay, so basically we're gonna just stop it right here because the three stacked busted. Okay, although this one's still running, it looks like the column bets and the dozen bets still running because it still has enough bankroll to place those bets. But the point of this video was to see how far we can push that stack. Okay, so let me just pause here. I'm gonna go ahead and collect the data, and then I'll be back and we could review for the end. Okay, so let's review what we have written down. So it did bust at I stopped it at the 377 mark. I think it busted a couple before that. You can see we ended it with a bankroll. We only had 245 left in the bank, and it was adjusting the bets because it couldn't place that high-low strategy. So it kept placing the other two because it had enough bankroll to do so. So we just stopped it at the 377 spin mark. So stress test, that's where it busted at. So of course we ran it through the gauntlet and it lasted quite a bit of spins. But what's important, let's go ahead and go over this. So Viper single dozen right here. These are all $1,000 bankrolls. Unit size is $1. So that one did the worst at minus 13. Viper single column did plus 29. The high low by itself did what, $92 in profit. Then when we stacked it, we stacked all three. After 100 spins, it came up $130. Okay, so reviewing this, now we look at over here, our session highs. That's also something to keep track of, right? So our session highs on the dozen was only $6. Okay, and then the single column was $29. We went up a high of $93 on the high low. And then when we stacked them, we did peak out at that $130 in profit. Okay, so then we ran longer and stress tested, and we ended up we peaked out at $489 in profit. So looking back on this, it was successful. Maybe not the best combination of strategies to stack. I really wonder how it would stress test against. I might just do that right now, actually. I wonder how it would stress test if I just run the dozens and just run the column as well. I think that would probably end up lasting quite a bit of time. One big thing to remember too, so when you're stacking strategies, you have higher bets, right? Because now you're not just stacking one strategy. You're stacking 3 different strategies. They're all on their own different progressions. So the bankroll should be adjusted according to how many strategies you are. I just kept it for simple metrics. I just kept it right there at $1,000. So yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up. And then I am going to actually reset. So I'm going to pause here because I showed you all the stats. The session lows on the singles by themselves didn't dip down too bad. So they are, like I said, very conservative way to play. I'm going to go ahead and pause right here. I'm going to set up a stress test running just the dozen and just the column. Just a little bonus for you guys. I'm really curious on how long that progression would go. So let me pause here again, and then I'm going to jump into that stress test and let's run that, see how that pans out. Okay, back with the bonus video. Okay, so I do want to do a stress test. This is going to be the same configurations as that I already have on these. We're going to run the single column, single dozen. So it's basically going to be Randall's strategy. Okay, this is going to be Randall's strategy 2.0 because they do run. His original, he stays on the center column, center dozen. This one's going to move around. So I wonder if it's going to pan out better. So let's go ahead and do a stress test on this and see where it breaks. So I'm going to pull up the bet visualization for you guys to see, and we are going to start now. All right, let's see how this one pans out. And again, you can see up here, started with $1,000 bankroll. Okay, I feel like this is going to last a while. So that's why we test. We're going to test this one out, see how it pans out. And you can see down here in the bet visualization, they do move around. Trying to read the board, trying to predict the best bet placements. All right, so far we are minus 46 was the low. Our high was only 4. Let's see what happens. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like to watch the visualization as it's going through its bet progressions? Or do you think that's something that's better off maybe me speeding this part of the video up, especially on like longer videos on the stress test? Just let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you. So we're just floating back and forth. I'm gonna give it, because the configurations are set very conservative with Padavon. I do wonder if we switch it up to a more aggressive progression. Let's give it some time. Let's see if we could get ahead a little bit. Because although it's fun to run these stress tests, at the end of the day, nobody's going to sit down and play. Like if it's too conservative, I mean, how many people are going to sit down and play it for, I don't know, 200 spins, 500 spins? I don't think many. We're at spin 116 and we are up 38 bucks. What I can do as well is I could go into the watch. I'll show you real quick. So we're up 56. That's not bad, but remember, we're playing with dollar units. We have a very conservative progression. I can change this so that we're using dollar unit sizes. I could change this to $2 unit sizes, 3, 4, 5, whatever I want. But it is making some good profit right now. And let's see what that would be. So our high right now is 82 bucks. And if we're using $5 units, would be up 410 bucks. So that's also something to keep in mind. Like if you have it set up ultra conservative like this, you can adjust that unit size. So right now high is 93. So if you had $2 unit sizes, you'd be up 180 bucks. Well, 186 to be exact. We're at $185 or 187 spins, coming up to 200. Accumulating some losses. New session highs at plus 122. I feel like this is going to go pretty long. So I think I'm going to change it. Like if it hits that 500 spin mark and it's still in profit and it does well, I'm going to adjust. I'm going to go ahead and probably first adjust the unit size and see how that works. And then if it's still winning like crazy, maybe using a stronger progression. But we are up in profit 142 bucks. We're at spin 250. And there are some small wins. It just seems like what's really pushing this forward is hitting those overlapping jackpot numbers. But we are in a new session high of 154 right now, 155. So it is doing well. It's not, we were kind of teetering up and down. We played in the negative area when we first started this, but now we've been floating in the profit. I wish I had a chart to show you. I know some of the online casinos show like a visualization chart. One that I'm thinking right now, it shows you once you dip below your bankroll, your initial bankroll, it'll go red. And then once you're above that bankroll, it shows you a graph in green. So I think something like that would be pretty cool to implement into this software. But I know the professor, he's very, very busy guy. So it's like we got to prioritize some things, So which is cool because now that the Viper Nest is formed, it's going to give us a lot of help doing these tests. That way we're going to fine tune. We're going to find the best default setting. So like, let's say we're doing a stacking test, right? We're going to find what's the best strategies to stack together that most consistently yields the best profits. Okay, so that means we're going to run multiple sessions, multiple tests, and then we're going to get that average, what configurations are working out best for it, and then we're going to go ahead and implement that as a default. And of course, once we launch this publicly, everyone can still play around with that, because some people have lower risk tolerance, some have higher, some are kind of in the middle right there. We are going to categorize them like that as well, where it's just easy for you to recognize. So you can see the categories I showed earlier. If you prefer to play colors, there's a bunch of color strategies in there. If you like to play dozens, you like to play columns, you like to play outside bets, we have strategies literally for every cup of tea. Let's just put it that way. Everyone's cup of tea is in there. And then obviously we have hybrid versions too, where you're mixing those inside bets with outside bets, and then stacking strategies too. That'll be part of the hybrid. We are approaching 500 spins, and we haven't made much progress as far as our profit. So I think I'm gonna pause at the 500 spin mark, and then I'm gonna adjust the unit size first, see if that helps out. Or you know what? Let me just pause right here. We're almost there. We're at 470. I'm gonna pause right here. Go back to strategy manager, and right here when you look down, we got right here overrides what you previously put in. So if I want to change it to, what's good, we're using a slow progression. Let's get crazy. Let's go $5 units. No, let's not get that crazy. Let's back it up. Let's go $3 units. Submit that right here. Let's go $3 units. Submit. So that's going to update. So let's go ahead and make sure it updates. And unpause. Now you can see, yeah, so it's going up in $3 increments. And this might hurt, this might help. Let's see. You can see there's a lot more movement on the profit going up and down. And since we're running two separately, they're not going to recognize the session high. They're only going to recognize the session high within their own strategy. So this may help, this may hurt. Let's see what happens. And we passed the 500 spin mark. We're at 520 right now. And let's see how this one pans out. So it looks like our session high was still stuck at that 192. And again, we didn't change the progression, so the progression is still relatively slow. So we're just playing patient. We're playing with a little higher unit size, and we finally hit a new session high. 208, 214, 213, 216, 235's new session high. On top of the initial $1,000 bankroll, of course. And we are at spin 72. I'm going to let this one roll out for another 500. If it's still alive, I think I'm gonna go a little aggressive and change the progression to probably Fibonacci. Or I could do a custom, or I could copy and paste where it has a slow progression like the Padavon or Karsh. Karsh is slightly more aggressive than Padavon. So maybe that'll be a smooth transition to do next. All right, so high is at 235 still. We've been teetering up and down in profit. Spin counts at 235. Okay, so I was watching the bet recommendation, and we have a max on these. So once they hit that max, I think on the column, the max bet was $63. And again, it's moving around, so it hit that $63 mark. And what happens after that is if it doesn't hit at that level, it just resets back to the beginning of the progression. So that's why it looks like it's kind of stuck in this limbo area where it's teetering up and down. But it is resilient. I mean, we're almost at 700 spins. And we are in the negative. It just dropped into the negative, but bounced back into the positive right now. So we are hitting 700 right now. Yeah, I think it would probably be better to run Fibonacci with this one. I mean, you got to checked out multiple times for sure. Get up 100, 200 bucks and leave. But I think this is too soft of a progression. We're always trying to teeter that and find that balance. Unless like you want a very, very conservative progression. And like I said, adjusting that unit size. Let's do a little bit of math. Let's do a little bit of math. Let me pull up my phone right now. Let's say, what are we? The high is plus 235. Let's go 235. Let's say we're using $5 units. We're going to multiply that by 5. That would be $1,175 in profit as a high. So that, that's something to consider as well. That way you don't have to sit here through all these spins, because you can see there's a lot of teetering up and down. And we are approaching the 800 spin mark. And I'm going to let this ride out, like I said, to about 1,000. And if it's still floating back and forth like this, I'm going to change the progression. If not, I'll probably be here all day. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any new ideas on what kind of tests that you want me to run. Okay, so we finally hit a new session high of $238. Nice. 250 is the new session high. Okay. So we're on a nice little hot streak. 262 is a new high. We're at spin 840. So approaching 1,000 spins. And again, once we get near it, I'm going to go ahead and just I'm going to change the progression. All right, new sessions at 271. That's new session high. We're at 875 spins. All right, finally hit another high, 304 in profit. And remember, we switched the unit size to $3 units. Oh, sorry about that. That was the alarm reminding me to take out the trash. Okay. All right, 921 spins, new session highs at 349. So this is very resilient. I don't really see this busting within the 2,500 spins, which is cool for a lot of you guys, right? Like, you want to know like resiliency of a system. And as I said, that we are in the negative right now. We've hit the lowest we've hit so far, minus 686. Let's see what happens. Let's let this roll out. We're at spin 955. Let me pause it right here and see what's going on. Make sure that's active. That one's active. So when it went this low, when it doesn't have enough to keep betting, it dropped off that single column. Let me go back in here and see what's going on. Let me unpause it. It should have enough money to place that bet. I don't know why it's not. Let me pause. Let me go ahead and activate again. Let me reset this. All right, there it goes. All right, we are approaching 1,000 spins. We are the lowest so far. We did peak out at $349. Let me go ahead and pause it right here and then just switch up. It looks like it's going to bust soon. So let me go ahead and change the configurations. Let's go from Padavon to Karsh. Save that. We're going to single dozen. Let's go from same thing, Padavon to Karsh. Slightly more aggressive. Oops, I clicked custom. Karsh. Save. All right, let's go back into the visualization and unpause. Let's see what happens here. We did pass 1,000 spin mark. That other one dropped off. I apparently didn't have enough to bet. We only got what, 90 bucks, 89 bucks left. So let's just let this one run out. And that's it. That's a bust right there. So 1,000, it did survive 1,000 spins, but we ended minus 980. We only have 20 bucks in the bank. We did peak out at a high of $349 in session profit. Again, I probably should have started this with a more aggressive approach. You know what? Let me go ahead and do that. Let me just do a real quick reset. Let's start with an aggressive approach and just give it 100 spins. Let's see if it just yields better profit. Because you could see all those 1,000 spins. Nobody's going to sit down for 1,000 spins to make 340 bucks. Maybe some people out there. I don't know if you got that type of time. That would be a full day in the casino for sure. Okay, so let me go ahead and reset this. I'm going to go ahead and try to do it real quick. We're going to reset everything. Stop this session. So you can see that we did peak out in profit, ended with only 20 bucks, so it did bust. Let's go ahead and start a new session real quick. And let's same bankroll is going to be 1,000 bucks. Submit, base unit, skip. Actually, I'm going to change that base unit to it. So let me go in dozens. Let's go single dozen. Boom. Let's get aggressive with this. Will it yield better results? I'm going to go Fibonacci. Fibonacci, we got, I think we have a stop on Fibonacci. Yeah, so we don't go to 144 next. Let's go ahead and add the 144. That'll be the stopping point. So if it doesn't hit within this progression, it just resets. So let's go add that 144 there. Let's go ahead and go to our columns. We're going to do the same thing. Single column, we're going to activate. We're going to switch the progression into aggressively Fibonacci. And then I think it's the same thing with this this one. We don't have the full Fibonacci sequence, but let's go ahead and add that $144 bet. Let's go ahead and save that. Now let's go ahead and we're going all, not striker, we're going, sorry, all activate. We have 2 activated right now. Fibonacci is kind of aggressive. I'm going to keep this at $1 unit. And dollar unit for this one. So I'm going to do that override, and those are both activated. We start right now. Let's see what we get. So we're in the minus so far. We need some big hits coming up. Minus 364. We're back. We got a nice hit there, but not in profit. We're going to give this a 100 spin test. Let's see if this does any better than that super long progression. And we have not hit a high with this. We've been in the negative the whole time. We're at spin 40. We're getting close. But we need some hot streaks or some of those overlapping numbers to come up. Finally got into session profit. 19 bucks. $40. We need some hits at the higher progression. It seems like it's mostly hitting at low progression. We had a couple. I could tell it bounced up in profit quite a bit. Let's see what happens. All right, new session high 79, 80, 81. We're at spin 90. That's the survival test mark. All right, we'll stop it right here because this is a long video. All right, so we went a little aggressive with Fibonacci, running both of them separately, and we did peak out pretty high. 109 bucks, made that a lot quicker than sitting there through 1,000 spins. And you can see on single column, we got 35 wins against 65 losses. Single dozen, we got 33 wins against 67 losses. And let's go ahead and stop and review. I won't add this to the doc. I'll just show you right here. And remember, through this little session, what did it take? like 40 or 45 spins for us to like actually get into profit. It mostly lingered in the negative initially, and you can see the session low went down 636. So we started with $1,000 bankroll, so it dipped down 636, and we ended up with 109 bucks. So it panned out well. But I'm gonna wrap up this video. It's getting pretty long, and let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you guys have any input or any strategies you want me to run, let me know. And like always, guys, till next time, be cool, stay cool, peace.